Okay, welcome everybody. Today is our Thursday Thoughts for April 23rd, 2020. We are about 4 months now into the coronavirus 19 pandemic, which has changed the world as we know it. So the vast majority of people in our country will not get coronavirus, or if they do, will be so mildly sick that they will hardly notice. However, 100% of us are being affected in some way, shape, or form by the coronavirus because of the financial impact, the societal impact, the supply chain interruption, or what we're going to talk about today, the mental health aspects of separation and change in routine. So we want to teach you a bit about staying calm during chaos and how you can choose to find joy and balance in the face of uncertainty. So Natalie, you want to take it from here?
Absolutely. So I think not only it's important to state that this particular presentation came about because of just the whole mental aspect of Corona and of COVID. But if we are completely honest, I have a personal Facebook page, and some of my friends messaged me and said, a couple of the patients messaged and said, how in the heck are you staying so positive during all of the face of the crisis and the economical chaos and the shelter in place and everything you post, and every time we see you, you're smiling and you're happy. And so then the next set of messages I got was, can you teach us how to do what you do and how to stay in that zone that you find yourself in? And I thought, you know what, we're going to do this. So Dr. Campbell said, yeah, we need to do this. So that's kind of how this whole webinar came to be. And I thought I'd kind of preface that with that so you guys would understand about where some of these slides are going to go. And then, of course, our fearless leader will give you some tools and suggestions and things that you can do at home that will help you to overcome some of what you may or may not be feeling. So with that being said, let's move on to our next slide. So we're all going to be experiencing a wide variety of feelings and emotions right now. It's going to happen. None of them are wrong, but it's important to understand that we can choose how we want to respond, and we can choose how we respond to this. So don't feel bad if you're feeling bad, because these feelings are okay. And especially right now in these times of uncertainty, it's okay to not be okay. The feelings that we have, they're ours and we own them. We control how we feel, who we feel it with, and how we'll handle ourselves in the face of a crisis or uncertainty. So many of you came to me and you said, how are you still so happy? How do you stay so positive all the time? And my answer was so simple, yet it was so complex. Because I choose that for my life. So the next question behind that was, well, how do you choose, and can you teach us how you do that? Of course. So we understand that this whole COVID thing and everything that comes along with it is brand new. And for some, these are scary times that we're facing. We get that, we understand that, we hear you, and we're here for you. But a lot of you have said, hearing everyone say we're in this together, it just doesn't help my situation. So what can you do? How can you overcome? How can you be empowered? How can you choose to find happiness? Well, we're going to share some of that with you and teach you, because that's what we're here to do for you. It starts with gratitude, right? So every day you find the gratitude, you find the joy that each new day brings. And I love this. And we've heard this 100,000 times. Your parents have probably told it to you, and you've seen it printed in some of these cute little boutique stores, and maybe in your Bible study classes, it's there, right? Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. That's why they call it the present. So sometimes you have to snoop around to find your gift of the day. Look for it. That's okay too. You might wake up and not recognize it right away. But I promise you that there is always one there, always. You might just have to look for it. So even when those problems seem bigger than you, if you approach it with love and embrace it with love and patience, great things can happen, right? So sometimes what you perceive as a problem or a barrier is actually God protecting you from something else that you probably didn't see, right? So there's hidden treasures behind every circumstance and situation. And again, remember what I said about having to look for those gifts of the day? They might not be right in front of you. They might not be just projecting and screaming at you. You might have to go find them. And sometimes you might not understand what they are. And it might take you a while to get to understanding, and all of that is okay. But know that whatever happens is supposed to be happening, and sometimes those things that we perceive as a problem or an issue may actually be a gift. This young little boy probably didn't know there was a deadly snake 2 feet away from him, right? But had he not had that big obstacle in front of him, then he would have approached the snake and possibly been hurt even worse. So sometimes you got to look. So recognize each time you wake up and open your eyes, because you weren't promised a tomorrow. So when it comes, you need to greet it. It is a gift. Remember, it's a present, and that's why they call it that. Share your day with someone you love. Love makes all things better. And when there is love, light exists. And when light exists, happiness and joy exist. And when you know that and you feel that and you are that, there is no darkness. Be silly. You guys have fun. If you've been in Campbell Family Medicine, you know that we are like the queens and now the king of having fun. So life is only as serious as you make it. And there's going to be times where you have to be serious and you have to be focused, and we get that. But there absolutely, positively must be time for play. Make time to do the activities that make you laugh, that bring you joy, because that's going to be important. And honestly, that joy and that light spirit, that lightheartedness is what's going to help get you through the next obstacle or barrier. You have to appreciate the little things that make you laugh, right? So choose to find those joys, whether that's being the superhero or having fun with filters. I have a thing on my Facebook page about fun with filters, and I put it on my story. If you're familiar with Facebook, and people love it, right? And I just have fun with it. I'm like, it's there, and it makes me laugh. Dr. Campbell and I had this thing, and we actually haven't done it in quite a while, but we used to crack up because we would come in wearing the same clothes. How that happened, I don't know, but we found that it was absolutely hysterical. So we made kind of a picture memoriam of all the times that we did it. And looking back over those pictures brings us joy. So find the things that make you laugh. Do the activities that bring that smile to your face that might not otherwise be there. Find the joys in the things. So, you know, today is a great example of that. It's rainy and overcast, slightly windy, a little bit cooler, but you know what? An overcast or rainy day like today just might bring a rainbow. That rainwater that's out there that's coming down, I can see it here out the window. It's going to nurture all those plants and all the living things and bring life and hope to spring that's just around the corner. That rain's going to fill our streams so that the fish can have clean water in which to live. Rain produces puddles, and if you haven't lately, I encourage you to do so, to go play in them, because they're a lot of fun. Rain saves us from having to water our garden manually, because why? God took care of it for us. That's a blessing. And it washes away all that pollen. That's a blessing. If you're suffer from allergies like me and all of you there at Campbell Family, yep, see, I see nodding heads right now. You know that when the rain comes, that's a blessing. Why? Because we have 1 day less to suffer from sneezing and sniffles. So think about it. What else might be a blessing when the rain comes? So sometimes, even when given the best advice, people still struggle. And we know that. And it's okay. You might struggle with too much togetherness right now. Relationship issues, communication failures, poor eating or emotional eating. We call it the COVID-15, right? There's a lot of us that are experiencing this right now. Nightmares, mood swings, headaches, insomnia, nervousness, tension, muscle aches, depression, anxiety. These are all very real things that people have brought to us and that we know you might be experiencing, whether that's from COVID, was prior to COVID, or will still be there after COVID. We know that these are real feelings and we acknowledge them, but we want to help you to cope and better deal with them. So this was directly from the CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. And this was their information on COVID-19. They have a whole entire page dedicated to COVID-19. Some of it is some really good information. And if you haven't visited, then I encourage you to do so. But they're basically talking about how the COVID has stressed people out. They've heard it. They have data that supports that. And so they're doing the same thing we are. They're saying, you could have fear and worry about your health and your finances and changes in your sleep and eating, and chronic health problems could seem worse. So all of these things that we just told you, they're now validating too. So they're kind of on the same page. But what happens if we find ourselves slipping into depression or insomnia or even anxiety? We want to talk about those resources and things that you can do at home and things you can access that are going to help boost your mood, raise your energy level, and help you cope. First, though, above all else, first you have to recognize that this is where you are and seek help. Seeking help does not make you weak. Seeking help will only make you stronger. So you don't have to suffer in silence. There's plenty of people who have found themselves in similar circumstances who feel the exact same way that you do. Be the hero in your own journey right now and seek the resources that are going to help you overcome and get through this stuff. They're there. And then, like Dr. Campbell says, go ahead, Dr. Campbell.
Remember the fundamentals. Eat clean food, drink clean water, exercise most days of the week, sleep, and write a gratitude journal. But let's go into the details, right? You've heard me say that mantra a lot. So what does it mean when I say to eat clean food? Clean food means a predominantly plant-based diet, mostly fruits and vegetables. No, you don't have to be a vegetarian. Yes, you can have a steak. I just want it to be a clean steak without pesticides, without hormones, without antibiotics. I want you to get that food locally if you can. If you can grow it, that's the best possible option because you know what's gone in it and on it. We want you to have a nutrient-dense diet that's free of preservatives and artificial flavors and artificial colors and chemical dyes or additives. If it has a barcode on it, it's probably not the best food for you. If it came from one of the center aisles in the grocery store, it's probably not one of the best foods for you. And of course, sugar is your enemy. Sugar is one of the most inflammatory foods that we have, and it makes everything worse, including your brain. We're now beginning to understand how many emotions are really biochemical reactions, and we can have an influence on them by the ways that we eat, drink, and take care of ourselves. So when I say clean water, what does that mean? It means it should be filtered. Unfortunately, the community municipal water supply, while it's safe to drink, it still has particulates in it. It still has prescription medication in it. There's still detectable, measurable amounts of birth control pills in every single municipal water supply ever tested. It's not a lot, it's microscopic amounts, and yet my own endocrinology textbook tells me it is the duration of hormone exposure more than the dose that is important. So a big bunch of hormones given to you all at one time is not nearly as dangerous as a little tiny bit given over time. That's what's in our drinking water. So I want you to make sure that your water is filtered. And yes, a Brita filter on the counter is better than anything. Probably reverse osmosis water is the best in terms of pulling out particulates and chemicals if the filters are changed regularly and it's kept up to snuff. And if you're going to drink filtered water from the grocery store, we recommend you don't get it from a plastic bottle. The bisphenols, which make that plastic squishy, can be transferred into the bottle, especially if that bottle's been warmed, i.e. sat in your car in the trunk. So from a plastic bottle is not a good way to get your water. Your hydration goal in general is to drink about half of your body weight in ounces every day. So if you weigh 100 pounds, you should drink 50 ounces of water. If you weigh 200 pounds, drink about 100 ounces of water a day.
And Dr. Campbell, just so we can be clear, to make drinking
Natalie
water
drinks
fun.
her water from a possum-shaped glass. Got a little nose on it and everything.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Exercise. Exercise is critical. Exercise is one of the best anti-inflammatories. If I said, ladies and gentlemen, step right up, do I have a product for you? This product can help you with weight management, lower your cholesterol, lower your blood sugar. This product can improve your waistline. This product can improve your sex life. This product can make you sleep better. This product can improve anxiety, depression, insomnia. What is that product, ladies and gentlemen? It's exercise. 30 minutes, 5 days a week. You don't want to do a lot more than that in most cases, because too much exercise is actually an oxidative stressor and can rust your body a little too fast from the inside. If you're going to be a marathoner or a heavy exerciser, you need to be working with an exercise nutritionist to make sure that you have adequate amounts of nutrition to counterbalance those stressors on your body. But about 30 minutes, 5 days a week seems to be the magic number, and it does not have to be all at one time. It can be 3 10-minute sessions. So walk away from your house for 5 minutes at a brisk pace and walk back again 5 minutes, and do that at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you've got it.
Woo.
Sleep soundly, 7 to 8 hours a night. Sleep is the most restorative thing that our brains can do. And if you are not sleeping soundly, you will be anxious the next day. You will be irritable the next day. You have a higher propensity to become depressed the next day. So do make sure that you're getting enough sleep on a regular basis. Gratitude, prayer, and meditation. If there is one thing that we would talk about that can help instantly, it's breath work or a short meditation. 1 minute of checking out, closing your eyes, deeply breathing, saying a prayer during the meditation can shift your mood on a dime. It is remarkable how helpful that can be. When it comes to breath work, the one that works for me personally is 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. For other patients, it's the box breath. This is what the Navy SEALs do. They call it Navy SEAL breathing. 4 seconds in, hold it for 4, 4 seconds out, hold it for 4, 4 seconds in, hold, 4 seconds out, 4 hold, and do it like a box. For me, that cadence of breathing actually makes me short of breath. So I don't like that. 5 seconds in and 5 out works for me. For others, you'll hear breathe in for 5, hold for 4, breathe out for 6, whatever works for you. If it makes you feel calm and grounded, that's a good strategy for you. What about gratitude journaling? I think gratitude journaling is underrated as one of the most powerful things you can do. We know that negative thoughts beget negative thoughts. And if you catch yourself having automatic negative thoughts, if you can stop and recognize it, and most of the time those automatic negative thoughts have a definitive. You always say that. You never will do that. And if you can catch yourself saying those negatives and say, maybe not in this circumstance, and just qualify it a little bit, you can change it gradually over time. We have a whole handout, if you're interested, called Stomping the Ants, the Automatic Negative Thoughts. And it comes from my colleague and friend, Dr. Daniel Amen, and he's got a lot of easy to do homework on how to stomp the ants. So negative thoughts beget negative thoughts, but so positive thoughts beget positive thoughts. So if you can begin a gratitude journal and find something to be grateful for every day, grateful that you woke up, grateful that you breathed air, grateful that you have food for today and food for tomorrow, and a roof over your head, and a sewer that works, and a blanket that keeps you warm. These are things much of the world does not have. And if we can just stop for a second, write those down, and reflect on them, how deeply blessed we are, and to express gratitude for that, the more gratitude you find in the morning, the more gratitude you'll have in the afternoon.
And it is hard to stay, speaking of gratitude, it is hard to stay in a state of gratitude and be depressed and anxious at the same time. So if you're choosing gratitude and you're allowing that to build, then you're pushing out the anxious feelings and the depression, because you're finding those joys, you're finding the reasons for you to have your heart uplifted. This is our favorite activity, isn't it, Dr. Campbell?
Yes, hugging trees. So this is a really interesting article that was published in a science journal that in Europe that they actually went out and took surveys of patients contributing, filling out surveys about their mood and their sense of well-being and wellness. And they found that if you spent 120 minutes a week or more in a natural environment, such as a park, a woodland, or a beach, you had statistically significant, consistently higher levels of health and well-being than people who had no exposure. Getting above 200 or 300 hours a week had no additional benefit, but 120 seemed to be the cutoff point that showed substantial difference. So go for a walk. It doesn't have to be 120 minutes all at one time. That's 2 hours. It can be an hour twice a week. It can be 30 minutes 4 times a week. You can split it up however you want. But spending time in nature, the Japanese have a word for this. It's forest bathing, and it's how it translates from Shinran Yoku. And it literally means communing in nature and touching the plants. They have energy, and they will fill and restore you in ways you cannot comprehend if you have not been doing it yet. When my husband and I we have 2 puppies, 2 4-month-old puppies. And when we take our puppies for walks, I always hand him the leash of one of the dogs at the end of our walk. And I always go over to a tree, and I try not to discriminate against only the grandfather trees. I like to hug the little trees too. And I wrap my arm around them and press my chest against their trunk and feel their roots against the soles of my feet. And there is an energy transfer that is indescribable as to how much better I can feel after hugging the trees. So now I have science to prove it, and I recommend that you try it too. 2 hours a week on the beach, in the woodland, or at the park.
Or on a day like this, take your shoes off and go play in the puddles. So stress and coping, right? So here's that page again from the CDC about COVID-19. And they're kind of saying exactly what we just told you. So remember I said a couple of slides ago that they're starting to get on the same page as us. Well, here's kind of proof, because they're telling you what? Take breaks from watching the news. Take breaks from reading those intense articles or listening to the negative stories that keep repeating over and over and over. All the statistical data that's about COVID that's out there. You're going to hear it whether you're tuning into it or not, because it's the buzz right now in the community. And you need to be informed, but you don't need to be bombarded, right? So take care of your body. Take those deep breaths that Dr. Campbell just taught you about. Do the stretching and the meditation, all of those things that illuminate your heart, your mind, and your soul. Eat healthy. Why? Because even though we talk about this having the COVID-15, as we joked around about, eating healthy, food is fuel. And you're not going to go to your gas station and put diesel fuel into your gas engine, right? Into your car. Why? Because it's not meant for that. It's not going to help your car perform. It's going to break it down. It's going to tear up your engine. Well, if food is the fuel for our bodies, we need to feed it the best possible sources that we can. And when we're faced with things like COVID and immune compromised situations, and stressful situations, giving our bodies the best chance, the best fuel for optimal performance is absolutely key. So choose those foods. Now, I'm not saying if you want a chocolate chip cookie, I'm not saying don't eat it. Reward yourself. But know that if you're going to do that, that shouldn't be your norm, and that shouldn't be the thing you choose time after time. That should be your reward. Go back to your
health. Eat a cookie, not eat the whole package.
No box of Girl Scouts, a cookie, right? Exercise, like she said, get plenty of sleep. That's important. And if you can't, if you're telling us that you want to sleep, but you can't, that's when you need to reach out to your doctor, right? Or your medical team. That's when Campbell Family Medicine has a bunch of tools in their toolbox to be able to help you with things like that. Avoid alcohol and drugs. That's kind of common sense, but we feel like we need to say it. Make time to unwind. I hear all the time from people, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. You get what you tolerate, right? So if you're telling yourself you don't have time, you'll never find time. But if you make the time, because it is there, then it becomes important to you, and it will become easier for you to do those things. And the easier it becomes, the less of a burden it becomes, And the more you like to do it, the more you like to do it, the more you will do it, and the happier you'll become. So don't forget to connect with others and talk to people around your circle. Just because you're not in church doesn't mean you can't reach out to the people in your church, right? Find those things that illuminate your heart, your mind, and your soul. And if you're struggling still, then there's resources like this that are there to help you, right, Dr. Campbell?
Absolutely. So the CDC has set up a disaster distress hotline. So this is specifically for things related to COVID, but there are always resources available. Certainly you can just call 911. If you are feeling overwhelmed with emotion, deeply sad and anxious, and can't get any of your regular resources, calling 911 is not a bad option. The National Domestic Violence Hotline, for those of you who are having too much closeness and it's breeding anger and family distress, there's a hotline for that as well. I think that many people are just getting to the end of their rope of being so close together so much of the time. We in Georgia do not have a moratorium on being outside. You are allowed to be outside. You should bring your mask with you so that if you end up closer than 6 feet to other people, that you can put that mask on and protect them and protect and remind them to separate, because people don't like to be as close to each other when they can't see their faces. But there are 800 number resources available for many, many specific instances.
But there is more that you can do. And we're going to talk about how to empower yourself, how to repair things, and how to restore not only balance, but harmony and joy. And let's talk about ways, tools that we may have, access to therapies that we may have that you may not know about. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But these are things that we offer and that we know about, that we know will help you.
So, yeah, ISS microcurrent neurofeedback. Many of you have heard about ISS. I first got introduced to ISS before I had my concussion, and then after I had done conventional neurofeedback, I did microcurrent neurofeedback on top of it, and it literally gave me my brain back after my concussion. Unlike traditional neurofeedback, which is 30 to 40 sessions, conventional, microcurrent neurofeedback is usually only 10 sessions, maybe 15 for most people. So it's faster, cheaper, and in my estimation, more sustainable. It gives you a longer duration of benefit. I've had family members do it who have called it life-changing, and patients have done it calling it life-changing. So what happens is you put this, no cap is required. You can see Barry on the slide, just gluing the little sticky to the forehead of the patient. We transmit a little electrical current less than 1/100th of a AA battery for less than 1/100th of a second. 99% of patients feel nothing except the glue on their forehead. And then an electrical current is administered to the scalp. It's transmitted through the brain tissue, and it kind of pushes the reboot button on the brain, allowing the lymphatic channels to open up and the brain to clear away the trash that's been built up. For that reason, because it's simply removing an impedance, it doesn't matter what your symptom is. ADD, PTSD, anxiety, depression, OCD, concussion, dementia. It helps clear away the trash. And our experience says about 85% of patients have a noticeable positive response in 1 to 3 sessions. And by the time you're up to 10 or 12 sessions, it's enduring and sustainable. So whether it's substance abuse, anxiety, depression, brain injuries, this is a really wonderful strategy. And you do not have to be a Campbell Family Medicine member patient in order to access our ISS. So your friends and family members can access this as well. We've found it remarkable. Insomnia is another place it really helps. So I am a huge fan. Brain Time is another one. Brain Time is a DIY home monthly subscription program. It's about $29 a month. It's based on something called binaural beats, which is sound waves that go into your brain through earphones. You connect your computer or iPad or phone to the program. You have a left channel and a right channel, And it sounds kind of like Close Encounters. It goes beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, boop. And you listen 5 minutes twice a day, and you get a similar rebooting of the brain, helping with sleep, attention, learning, memory, balance. I've even seen a patient that had a stroke and had a paralyzed arm that after one session was able to lift their hand because it reconnected the disconnected brain. And the mothers of small children can get a headphone splitter and put a kid in their lap, and even a toddler can do this with really remarkable results.
And from personal experience, I'll tell you, I use this. I'm one of those tired and wired people. I used to be, and I would lay down at night and my brain would go 100,000 miles an hour about everything. Kind of like a checklist. Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you check? What about tomorrow? And so I found that brain time kind of helped turn that off so that when I did lay down and close my eyes, I was actually able to finally go to sleep. So for me, this was a key tool into helping restore my sleep.
Stop the chatter.
You stop the chatter, that's it. So ThriveWorks Counseling, they are local. They also have, as you can see by that little map there, they have locations all over the United States. They're continually growing because they are, especially right now, they're in such high demand. And what they do is they offer not only counseling, but life coaching and mental health therapists that are available. So everything from depression to relationship issues, to anxiety, to the people who tend to beat themselves up because they don't feel like they're good enough, to those that are just challenged by life for whatever the reason, eating disorders, struggles that just people tend to face, especially in times like this. A counseling place like ThriveWorks, and the only reason we put this up there is because we knew about it. But there are several out there to choose from. But this one does allow for online counseling as well. And you can go to their website and you pick your counselor. So they list a bunch of different counselors and therapists, and you get to choose who you want to start with. If you don't like that person throughout your sessions, you can change. But they offer online as well as phone. And once we get back in normalcy, if you will, they will also go back to face-to-face appointments. Dr. Campbell, is there anything you want to add about ThriveWorks?
I just want to say two things. Number one, they are doing virtual visits, so you don't have to go anywhere. You can do it from the comfort of your own living room. And number two, while they historically have been like Campbell Family Medicine, non-insurance provider for many of their services, during COVID, I think every insurance company is paying for counseling related to COVID mental health symptoms. So this might be a foot in the door for those of you that have been suffering in silence to get some help.
What about supplements, Dr. Campbell? Those are important right now.
One of my colleagues is from Australia. Her name is Trudy Scott, and she wrote a book called The Anti-Anxiety Food Solution. Recognizing that many foods trigger histamine, and histamine triggers anxiety, and it's a lot broader than that. But she has learned that many people who suffer from mental health symptoms are deficient in serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, and their brains are overly sensitive to stimulation. And so if we can reboot the brain with the micronutrients that the brain uses to make neurotransmitters, then we've done the brain a favor, and we've filled up the gas tank so it has the fuel that it needs. And so this is a cocktail that she commonly utilizes. 5-HTP, which is turned into tryptophan, which is turned into serotonin, which is turned into melatonin in your body as your body needs it. So 5-HTP, 100 milligrams, 2 pills at a time, twice a day. L-tyrosine, 500 milligrams, 4 pills at a time, twice a day. And GABA, 125 to 375 milligrams twice a day. Now, all of these can be a little uplifting and help a depressed patient feel more energetic. They're also calming, so they make an anxious person feel more relaxed. But we dose it usually first thing in the morning upon awakening, and then about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, not too late in the day. And this triple cocktail has shown over and over and over to help people with anxiety and depression. take one piece out of the cocktail, it doesn't seem to work. And I don't know of anybody that's created one that's 3 in 1 pill, but this is a lovely little anxiety reducing cocktail. If you're interested and you think it might be appropriate for you, call us and we'll talk you through it to see if it's something that might be perfect in your instance.
So books, you know, we are big readers here at Campbell Family Medicine. I know a lot of our patients are too. Read and ingest those books on positive thinking. If you don't know where to start, a book is always a great place because somebody's done the work for you, right? So there's step-by-step books, there's affirmation books, there's books on positive mental attitude and how to even develop that. There's books on happiness. There's books on creating joy where joy isn't found. So look on Amazon and just find something that resonates with you, because that could be a starting place for you if you don't know where else to start. This is also
one of my favorite books is called A Walk in the Woods.
Oh yeah,
obviously, right? But it's written. It's one of the few books that literally made me laugh out loud so hard I had to put the book down. And it's about walking in the woods, walking the Appalachian Trail. So if you're looking for a book, not just on positive mental attitude, because that feels overwhelming, just pick up a book that's going to make you laugh.
So Dr. Campbell, I know this was one that you put together with Heather. We had sent this out in a little handout, I think.
Yeah, so when you're feeling overwhelmed, sometimes the easiest thing to do is just sit down and make yourself a new schedule. So since so many people are working from home, they feel a little bit aimless. They've lost their, oh, I have to be out of the house by 7 o'clock, which means I have to have been showered and breakfast. And now their wake up time is shifted. Now they're not waking up until 7 o'clock. And then by the time they get their shower and get dressed and finish puttering, oh my gosh, it's already 11 o'clock and I've wasted my day and I'm not feeling valued anymore. So if you can make yourself a new schedule and try to stick to it and assign yourself an accountability partner that's going to do the same thing with you, you can get back into a routine. We all thrive on routines, and that's part of the reason why so many homeschooled kids are having a hard time, is because their school teachers and counselors kept them to a pretty strict schedule throughout the day, and now they don't have it. They don't know what time recess and lunch is. They don't know what time their reading class is supposed to be, and it's stressful. So making a new schedule can be a profoundly beneficial mental health strategy. I also recommend you get dressed for the day. I had a girlfriend that homeschooled her kids, and the first thing that she did was bought them school uniforms, so that even though they were homeschooled, they put their school uniforms on every day. That got their mental mindset into a certain place. I have a friend who works from home who every day, no matter what he's wearing, a t-shirt and sweatpants, he always puts on a tie when he's doing work. So creating a uniform for your day can be profound in shifting your mental state to get moving forward for work. Do some meal prep. That's something you should put in your schedule, making sure that you have clean food, highly nutrient dense fuel for your brain to get through the day. Don't be afraid to schedule some yard work. That's a great exercise that you can do. It hits many birds with one stone. It gets you outside in nature. It gets you physically moving. It gives you a mental break from the computer, time away from the blue screen. So yard work is a great strategy. Exercise or movement, whatever it is you like to do. You can jump rope. You can hula hoop. You can go to the gym, the home gym, and get on your treadmill or walk on your
to your rebounder.
Yeah, your rebounder or your elliptical. Yoga, Tai Chi, and Qigong are all amazing. For those men out there, one of my mentors, Jeff Life, one of his favorite sayings is, a flexible man is a sexual man. And there's a lot to be said about stretching and flexibility as part of your exercise routine. And yoga, Tai Chi, and Qigong can get you there. We also know that the cerebellum, that part of your brain that manages balance, also manages higher order executive functioning and memory. So having good balance enhances good memory, and Tai Chi, yoga, and Qigong all enhance balance. So too does dance. Natalie likes to dance like nobody's watching. So put on the music, dance. That's a great exercise. Put on the music, dance, and run the vacuum cleaner at the same time. You got two things going. Prayer, meditation, and gratitude journal we already talked about. Nobody can undervalue how much music means to a soul and can get you shift your mood very quickly. We talked about reading a book. Don't forget about art. Art is good for your health. You can create art, you can paint, you can coloring books, you can sculpt clay, or my artwork is food. I love to cut and chop and create a meal. Limit TV and news. I think most of us should be on a news fast during this time. Set yourself a couple hours a week to watch the news, and you don't need any more than that. If there's something important, people will tell you about it, and you can get on the social media and read about whatever is urgent. But most of the time, 10 or 15 minutes of news highlights a day will be all you need to get through your day. Choose comedy and documentaries versus depressing and overwhelming news stories.
I will say one more thing on this. Do you remember, everybody, when we were in school and you would have your pencil and you would put it to the paper and you would just, out of sheer being a kid and frustration, you would be like, and you would just do that? Do you remember? Well, I'm telling you now that that is a huge stress release, because if you've ever watched a kid do that, the next thing they do, they put their pencil down, they go, right? So it seems silly, but I'm telling you now, if you haven't done it since you were a kid, you should do it, because it is a huge release.
Another strategy is to take your frustrations and write them down, right? And then once you get them written, then destroy them. Tear up the paper in little bits, light it on fire in the bonfire outside, or put it in an ashtray and light it in your kitchen. Get rid of those frustrations once you've identified what they are. Profoundly stress relieving. Almost all of our pay for services that do meditation, such as Calm, Headspace, or 10% Happier, have free programs right now going on. So this is a great opportunity to log in and get a free guided meditation. You'll find a voice that resonates with you. I personally have been doing the Honest Guys 5-minute meditation in the mornings for years, and I still like to hear their voices greet me in the morning. So you find one that resonates with you.
So this is one of my favorite subjects. Dr. Campbell's smiling because she knows. And if you've been in here, I love to laugh, right? So I'm one of those people who laughs at commercials. Right now, my favorite is what's the
Emu.
Yeah, the insurance commercial. I absolutely love it with the emu bird. But so when it comes to relieving stress, more giggles, more laughter is just what the doctor ordered. So whether that's through a sitcom, something on TV, or just quietly giggling at a newspaper cartoon or something you see on the internet. And I will tell you too, with my social media, there's so many ways to filter that. I hear a lot of people saying, I don't even get on Facebook because it's so negative. Well, change that. You have the power to do it. I turn on my Facebook and I am filled with cat videos and things about nature and identifying plants and foods we can eat and recipes, because that's what I want. That's what brings me joy. And you can do the same thing. So a good sense of humor, it can't cure all your ailments, but there is mounting data that says there's a lot of positivity and a lot of influence in your health and your overall well-being when it comes to laughter. There's short-term benefits and there's long-term benefits. The short-term benefits are that when you laugh, and it's a true laugh, that it stimulates your organs and your systems. So it enhances your intake of oxygen-rich air. It stimulates your heart and your lungs and all your muscles, and it releases and increases those endorphins that are in your brain. So it activates and relieves your stress response. Have you ever tried to laugh and be angry at the same time? You can't do it, right? You just can't. So a roll, licky laugh. So that whole belly laugh where you're on the floor, it fires you up. Your cheeks turn red, right? But then it cools your stress response right back down. And it can actually decrease your blood pressure. So that's a good relaxed feeling. So if you're having trouble going to sleep, getting to sleep, try laughing before you get there. It might just help you. So it soothes tension. It stimulates circulation. So it helps those muscles relax because it drives blood into those muscles, which is when they're constricted and they're tense, you're not getting adequate blood flow, not good oxygen-rich blood flow. So laughter helps release that. So it can help with those physical symptoms that you may be experiencing. And the long-term effects of laughter, right, for those of you who are curious, is that it improves your immune system. What do we need right now but a freaking healthy immune system, right? We need that. So negative thoughts, they manifest into those chemical reactions that affect your whole body system, stresses out your little transport cells that are supposed to be transporting nutrients and messages to your body, to all your systems, right? So laughter, long-term benefits of laughing regularly, often and loudly, right, is because it will relieve pain. It eases pain because it is a natural painkiller. It releases those endorphins that we talked about. And it leads to personal satisfaction. Like I said, you can't have laughter and be sad at the same time. It just doesn't seem to happen. It improves your mood. So people that experience depression, sometimes those chronic illnesses, laughter helps lessen your depression, your anxiety, and actually can make you feel happier. So, and it improves your immune system, exactly what we're looking for in times like this.
I would like to point out that graphic has people not socially distancing. So, right, unless those are your roommates, you don't want to be that close to those people. And we'll talk about social distancing at the end, Polly. I saw your question.
That was a good one, Dr. Campbell. So one of my absolute favorite mentors and heroes is Dr. Wayne Dyer. He has written several books. I think I have almost all of them. But I love this man because he taught me what I am trying to teach you about choosing your path in life. Choose, no matter what your circumstances are, that you can choose to be an overcomer. You can choose to be an overthinker, right? You can choose to be happy or you can choose to be sad. So, and I love that because he says, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at are going to change. So the bad may not seem so bad if only you change it and frame it in a different way. So it is important, everybody, especially all of our CFM people, that we remember we are all in this together. You hear it over and over, but we have found through this whole thing that we really are in this together, and that being together and being a unit, even if we can't hold hands, and even if our favorite activity at CFM, which is to hug you and embrace you when you come in, we can't do that right now. We can still lift you in spirit, hold you in love, and support you in your mental health through things just like this and all the other resources that we have. Right, Dr. Campbell?
Agreed. Agreed.
So do we have questions? I see you looking, so you must see questions.
I saw that we had a question, and I'll read it. It says, what's our take on relaxing social distancing? I'm worried that now that things are opening up, so more and more people will be infected. This person's over 65 and feels like she's at greater risk, hasn't seen her grandkids forever, and today or tomorrow is going to be the best shot at seeing them before they begin more exposure to the general population. Do I worry about this opening as a result of the larger wave of outbreak? So there's a lot of unknowns in this whole epidemic. Media has driven us to fear much greater than the circumstance would warrant. So do you run in fear from influenza? Generally not. We try to be careful. We wash our hands. We might have had a Clorox wipe here and again, and taking care if somebody sneezed on the doorknob, we wiped it down afterwards. But we were never meticulous to this degree before this virus. Should we have been? Probably yes. I do think that the governor has loosened the ropes a little too soon. And if I were the queen of the world, I would do it in a different way. I would allow any small business with 10 or fewer people to begin to have business as usual with continued social distancing recommendations, like we have here at Campbell Family Medicine. Stop at the front door, wash your hands, check your temperature, wear a mask. stay 6 feet apart from other people. I think those are still good strategies until we get to the point where it is no longer increasing in the number of cases. Once we have 10 to 14 days of dropping numbers of cases, I think we can relax a little bit more, but I think it should relax in phases. I haven't hugged my children in 5 or 6 weeks either, Polly, and I think this weekend is actually a really good time to do that. Why? Because I think that we have all proven that by staying 10 to 14 days away from each other, we're not contagious. And now you can never say never, but I think the risk is significantly low if your family members have been appropriately sheltering and you're appropriately sheltering. I think that it's okay to be together and hug your grandkids. I think that the social distancing rules of bowling alleys and massage parlors were ridiculous, and I don't think people should do that. I think that people want to have less restriction. We still have to do it in a safe way. And I think that if we do it carefully and slowly, we're not going to have a second outbreak to the same degree that this first one has been. Even that said, what we're learning is more and more people have been infected. New York just published numbers that 15% of the population has been exposed to this virus. That's 5 to 10 times more than anybody thought. So those people then, in theory, because they're living so tightly together, the death rate among New York is lower than we thought it was because more people were exposed. And so we're finding, I think, that the mortality of this illness is not as high as we had thought. We thought it was low at the beginning, then we thought it was higher in the middle, and I think we're thinking now it's not as dangerous. That's not to say it's not a deadly disease. For a small percentage of the population, it's terrible. But if you want to flatten the curve for yourself. That means build yourself up with as much resistance as you can by all those things we talked about, and supplementing, making sure you're not zinc deficient, vitamin D deficient, vitamin C deficient. Despite all that, some people will still be diabetic, will still be immune compromised, will still have cardiovascular disease, and they will still be at risk. And yet we've seen 100-year-old people go on the ventilator and go home again. So it's not a death sentence if you get it. And you get in a car every single day knowing that tens of thousands of people die in car accidents every day. And yet that's a risk that you are willing to take. Are you willing to go get your nails done? Are you willing to go get your hair cut? I think that if you do it in a safer way, that this is a reasonable risk worth taking, right? That we can go to the grocery store and get food and we won't die in a car wreck on the way. I think that's a risk that we are willing to take every day when we go to the store. And statistically, our risk of this virus is substantially less than our risk of heart attack, stroke, cancer, all the top illnesses in our country. So it's a calculated risk. I won't say it's zero. It's not zero, but it's a small risk. And yeah, I understand the nails thing. I had to go to CVS and buy my own. Right? It was a decision that I was willing to accept. So
and I think
some people say they went out to get their hair done. I think this is a reasonable risk you're reasonably willing to take.
And I think as long as you're taking personal responsibility, you mentioned that too, and I think that's where it's going to make the difference. You can't change the world and you can't be responsible for somebody else's action or influence, but you can for your own self. So if you want to go out and you make that conscious choice, wear your mask, put on your gloves, wash your hands, right? And when you get home, wash your hands, eat your clean food that you just bought, prepare your meals in a way that's healthy for you. So be personally responsible.
And do I think that high-risk people and immune compromised can enter the grocery store? I do think they can. Now, I think the grocery stores, for the most part, have made accommodations. Many of them are opening an hour before their regularly scheduled time for people who are 60 and older. to go in the store at the first of the day when everything's been decontaminated overnight. And now they have an opportunity to shop before everybody else has gotten their grubby hands on things. I still think it's reasonable for people over 60, immune compromised, high risk for any other reason, to wear their own mask and put on gloves while going to the grocery store. Then you should probably set up a place on your countertop where you bring in all your grocery bags, draw an imaginary line or put something on the counter, and then with your gloves on, get out your Clorox wipe, wipe off every can, put it on the clean side. All the produce that you've touched, you can rinse in water with vinegar or with vegetable spray and put that aside. Once it's been cleaned, you take it from the dirty side to the clean side to take off your gloves, take off your mask, and then you put everything away once it's been cleaned. So I think that we have ways to minimize risk, and everything that we do in life is a calculated risk. I do not live in fear of this virus. I also know that among my colleagues who have been caring for patients in hot zones in New Orleans, in Michigan, that the services that are provided by functional medicine, the nebulized peroxide, the IV vitamin C, they've had 0 deaths in any of their patients. So should a Campbell Family Medicine patient get sick, we have strategies to take care of you. I am not worried about this. I think we are going to be just fine. We've tanked up beforehand. We've been working on our strategies to make sure that our immune systems are as strong as they can be. And the number one thing that you can do is wash your hands. Mm-hmm. If you do that one thing, you will be so well protected. And then don't touch your face, mouth, and nose. And that's why wearing the mask helps so much, because it reminds you not to touch your own face and contaminate yourself. So we have a lot of control over this, more than people realize. And by the same strategies that help keep our immune system strong, helps keep our mental health strong.
We'll take one more question and then we can answer the rest via email.
So somebody said, I've washed my hands to the point that they are rashing. Yes, so I have a couple suggestions for that. Suggestion number 1, water before soap. Water first, then soap, then scrub. Why? Because the oils will be stripped off of your hands. If that soap goes on first, it pulls the surfactant right off your skin. So water first. Second thing is that there's a soap I like. You can buy it off the internet at $7 a bar. It's called Emily's. It's made with shea butter and angelica, and it's particularly good for eczema and rashy hands. I also like coconut oil if you're not tree nut sensitive as a hand moisturizer after you wash. There's a question about masks. None of the masks beyond N95 work very well in general. A cloth mask does not really protect us very much against viruses. What it does do, however, is it reduces the droplet spread. So if you blow out wet particles into the air, those wet particles contain germs, which are contagious. The cloth masks, the paper masks, keep those particles close to your face and on the mask so that you are not spreading them. Sadly, the virus can penetrate through all of them. It can penetrate through cloth and paper as well. We are using, in our office, when we don't have access to N95 masks, we've been using HEPA filters from literally a cut up vacuum cleaner bag inside our cloth masks. And that seems to provide an extra layer of protection for us and for our patients. Another patient says, Neutrogena Norwegian hand lotion works very well for their hand rashes. I've used corn huskers lotion in the past. I've used Eucerin. I've used Aveeno. All of these work really well for some people. All right, this recording, did I hit record? I hit record. This recording will be put on the Facebook page for anybody to watch at a later date. So thank you all for attending. We love you all. And as a business owner, I just want to take one moment to say thank you. You know, even though we're a doctor's office, we're still a small business. And without the love and support of each of you and your membership payments, we would not be in business. And so as a business owner, thank to each and every one of you for the money that you bring to our community that I can use to support my staff, because everyone has gotten a paycheck throughout this entire COVID epidemic, thanks to you. So I'm eternally grateful that you allowed me and my staff to be a part of you and your wellness journey. And if there's anything that we are not doing, please let us know. If there's anything you need, please let us know. If your mental health is getting a hold of you, please let us know, and we'll facilitate getting you to the place where you can be to get help.
And if you have trouble with meditation or finding your joy, you have both access to me and Heather. If you haven't met with Heather, she's phenomenal at that. She's our health coach here at Campbell Family Medicine, and she is here during office hours. So we can do Zoom appointments to help you find your joy if you're struggling with that. And there's many other options that we have out there. So please just know that you're not alone and you don't have to struggle alone.
Team CFM is here for you.
Woohoo!
We'll see you next Thursday, 3 o'clock.
That's it.
All right, bye now.